Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Well, now, did everybody get the chance to start off their week this morning with a little bit of a blood pressure spike? Got to imagine that was the popular reaction to the news this morning that PJ Adebawore was entering the transfer portal, only to be followed within 5 minutes, mind you, by the news that he was withdrawing from the transfer portal. So, all that for what? Well, all that for basically nothing. PJ Adebawore wasn't in the transfer portal when we woke up this morning. As we sit here at 2:01 on Monday afternoon, he is still not in the transfer portal. But for 2 minutes in time, Grayson Singleton, he was. And we are getting closer and closer to the end of the portal window. The window will close on Friday evening. And to be clear, because people get confused about this every single year, that does not mean everyone has to have picked their next school by then. That just means that is the deadline to get into the transfer portal. That is the deadline to enter your name into the portal via the institution that you are currently at. But this is the final week of portal madness before we get to obtain a very crystallized sense, Grayson, of what Oklahoma's roster is going to look like heading into 2026.
It's a big deal that PJ's coming back because you were starting to question the proven depth at the defensive end position. Obviously, you got an all-SEC player in Taylor Wine, but after that, Danny Okoye and PJ, guys with flashes, but not a whole lot of production, and then behind them, it's virtually zero production at the collegiate level when you talk about the Wyatt Gilmores of the world and others. So, no, this is a big deal that PJ got into the portal and then seemingly reversed course immediately for the Sooners. This is one where you can't sleep on this one. This is a big deal.
This is a big deal because had he left, it would have immediately put Oklahoma into the market for a transfer defensive end, of which there are precious few good ones remaining, and for whom you would probably have to overpay. So Oklahoma is very much in a situation right now where, like, if we're calling a spade, PJ's got a lot of leverage. You say, hey, give me what I want. Otherwise, you can go out hunting for another defensive end that's probably not going to be as good, not going to be as talented, and who's probably going to cost you more money because of the law of supply and demand. Now, kind of sucks that Oklahoma would be put in a position like that, no doubt. But this is just kind of the way of the world, and sometimes these days it doesn't even really have much, if anything, to do with what the kid wants, because there are agents with agendas, there are representatives with agendas, there are family members with agendas. PJ is and has always wanted to be a Sooner. There's never been a point in time at which PJ himself has had a desire to go anywhere but the University of Oklahoma. The reason he committed in the first place was because he had a ton of trust in Miguel Chavis, and that trust has been maintained over the years. As we project ahead to 2026, there is no doubt, Grayson, that if he does not break camp as a starter, which I would consider a likelihood right now, even if he doesn't break camp as a starter, much as I think he will, he's going to play a lot, and he's going to be a critical cog in that rotation because our Mason Thomas ain't coming back. You got Taylor Wine firmly planted at that other defensive end spot. But opposite him, you're going to need PJ. You're going to need Danny Okoye. You'd like to see Wyatt Gilmore take a step forward and become a contributor. We can only wonder how ready Jake Krell and Daniel Norman and Matthew Nelson are going to be to make a year one impact. But to bring back a guy that, although he has never started a game at Oklahoma, is undeniably one of the traitsiest, freakiest athletes on the entire roster, regardless of position, and has appeared in 36 career games over 3 seasons, who emerged as a contributor immediately upon enrolling as a true freshman. This is significant news for Oklahoma, even if in the end it really isn't news at all. Even if the outcome was P.J. Adebawore isn't in the transfer portal, just the same as he was yesterday before any of this ever happened, it's good news that Oklahoma's going to retain this kid. Very good news.
And you left the best part of that out because it's also a guy that's getting better. And we saw him getting better over the course of the season. And, coming into the 2025 season, whenever we had conversations about PJ, it was, when is he going to turn that corner? Obviously, there were some health issues. There was some, body composition things that we talked about that were points of conversation. And it was just a matter of, when was he going to turn that corner to being a really good college football player? And it seemed as if this year, even though he's not a star yet, he seemed to actually turn that corner and then start to get better. So if you had waited all that time and you had seen him turn that corner and start to be on the ascent, and then he dipped up out of here, that would be a really, really sore loss to have to stomach. So being able to keep a guy that is ascending in his athletic profile as a Sooner after you have developed him this whole time is probably the best thing out of this whole situation.
Locked In today is brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. If you find yourself in the market for a new vehicle here in the new year, give Dorsey Jones a holler. Dorsey Jones has been family owned and operated out there in El Reno for many years. GMC, of course, offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today, and Dorsey Jones complements that with their outstanding and personal service, including half-price oil changes on Saturdays. If you want to chime in throughout the show, please do so at 405-651-3439, as Ryan from Jacksonville has done. Ryan from Jacksonville on the text line says, 26 leaving in the portal and all the graduates makes me think only picking up 12 in the portal is very underwhelming. Do they just have a lot of faith in the guys filling in those positions already? Couple things to consider here, Ryan. And first off, let me just give you an overview of the numbers right now. As it stands, and I'm doing the math in real time here, as it stands, Oklahoma has 43 scholarship players, either graduating or transferring out. The Sooners signed 24 incoming freshmen in the 2026 cycle. They have 24 signees that will be joining the program no later than June. In the portal so far, let's count. Lloyd Avant, 1, Trell Harris, 2, Parker Livingston, 3, Mackenzie Aileen, the most recent transfer pickup, whom we'll talk about in a second, number 4. Hayden Hansen, 5, Rocky Beer, 6, Amarian Harris, 7, Caleb Nitta, Peyton Joseph, 8 and 9, Kenny Ozawalu is 10, Cole Sullivan is 11, and Dakota Fields is 12. So 12 incoming in the portal, plus the 24 that you signed in the 26 cycle, comes out to 36. And so you are still 7 below your scholarship tally from a season ago right now. You are still 7 below what your scholarship tally was in the 2025 football season. So there is still plenty of room for Oklahoma to play around and make some additions, and keep in mind the scholarship number is going from 85 to 105. But as we have discussed on this show, just because you can roster 105 scholarship players does not mean Oklahoma will be rostering 105 scholarship players. And what a lot of programs are finding out right now, Grayson, is that finding a way to balance the books and pay 105 scholarship players is borderline impractical, very difficult to actually accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, you say Oklahoma is not going to roster 105. I would add, neither should they. Like, there's no reason to have 105 players on the team. But to that text from Ryan in Jacksonville, it is something I've been thinking about, though. While you have a lot of your starters back and you have a lot of those, marquee players that are going to be returning, there are still certain positions on this team where you look at the depth and say, there's more to be desired here. Defensive tackle, I think, is going to be one. Defensive end almost went that direction. I still think they could stand to add another one because there's not a whole lot of proven production. Then you're talking about freshmen behind that. Offensive line has been a topic of conversation over the past 2 weeks. So I still think there is still some to be desired at some of those depth positions, particularly in the trenches.
It's going to be very interesting how Oklahoma and many other P4 programs that compete on the highest rungs of the sport make philosophical changes with the scholarship limit going from 85 to 105. Because there are some that will opt for less high dollar guys and more depth, i.e., okay, we won't have any seven-figure dudes on our roster, but we'll make sure we have 105 scholarships accounted for. And then there will be programs, Grayson, in my opinion. I think you're looking at Texas as one of the schools that fits the bill in this criteria. There will be schools that drop their scholarship number below 85 because their thought is, okay, we're just going to operate with a more portal-centric talent acquisition philosophy moving forward. We're not going to even bother to recruit and develop as many guys as we historically have year over year. And we're going to build this thing more like an NFL roster. What do you have on an NFL roster? You got 53 guys. And obviously you want to have more depth than that because it's a lot easier for NFL franchises to get into a fix if the injury bug bites because of that 53-man limit. And then, of course, you have the practice squad that you can promote guys from, and you always have free agency. But you have to have depth beyond the number 53 at the collegiate level because you don't have a practice squad, and you can't just sign a guy off the street mid-season. Your roster is your roster. Yeah. Oklahoma's roster is their roster once this portal window closes, with the exception of maybe a graduate transfer addition here or there, or a graduate transfer subtraction here or there. But I think there are programs that will be content to have their scholarship number on their roster sit somewhere in the 70s and just offset that by paying big money for several of the top players on their roster, and they'll operate from the standpoint of, okay, we have these dudes that we're going to lean on, we're going to bank on them not getting injured, and if they're healthy, if they're active all season, if they're playing their best ball, we're going to compete for a national championship.
You think that's the way Texas is going right now?
I do.
Yeah, it seems very much like that is what they're doing. Hey, on the YouTube chat, by the way, search KREF Sports in YouTube and you'll see us pop up. Big Cheeto asks, what incoming freshman will play in 2026?
I mean, that's a great question. We'll find out once these guys show up who's actually ready and who's not. I will tell you the guys that I think are going to be ready. I think Jake Krell's going to give you something right off the bat.
Yes.
I think Daniel Norman's going to give you something right off the bat. I think both of those true freshmen could be in the rotation at defensive end for Oklahoma as early as 2026. We have talked about Jaden Petit and Jasir Rogers as wide receivers that could see snaps in Oklahoma's offense. I expect Jonathan Hatton to be a facet of the backfield rotation. And then from there, I mean, I don't know that there's anybody that just screams at me as an early playing time candidate. I'll be interested to see where Bo Jandro falls in the pecking order at linebacker because that's going to be a decently deep group. It might be harder for a guy like that to crack the rotation immediately as it might be for a guy like Markel Ford in the safety room who is he substantially better than Bo Jandro in a vacuum? No, but there might be more of a need given the numbers there to throw a guy like that out there and get him ready than there is for somebody like Jandro.
Derek Johnson Jr.
Bingo. That's somebody.
2 years in a row, Oklahoma is hit with freshman corners.
I think there's going to be a case for him as well.
You know, you brought up Jake Krell. You think what do you think he's going to get to campus at in terms of weight-wise? Because he's like, what, 230, 235 right now? What do you think by the time the season rolls around he's going to be at?
I think that's probably – I think he'll probably settle like 240.
Okay.
If he can get to 240, I think that's somebody – and Jim Nagy has said as much in his press conference on signing day. We expect him to play for us next year. We expect Jake Krell to be on the field for Oklahoma as a true freshman. So if he's sitting at 240, then I think from a motor standpoint, he's more than ready. From an athleticism standpoint, he's more than ready. From a competitive standpoint, he's more than ready. I think the thing that some have questioned with Krell is, does he have the bag does he have the arsenal of moves to be able to beat SEC offensive tackles as easily as he beat high school offensive tackles, albeit really good ones, at IMG Academy? So I think it's going to be simply a matter of whether or not Jake Krell has built the arsenal by the time fall camp kicks off in August. That's ultimately going to determine how much he plays. I think he plays. I feel quite confident he plays. Just a matter of how much. Wisecracker on the text line says, Bill Snyder made a living and a really good one on JUCO players. How good would he have done in this new transfer era of college football? That's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. And look, the old way is not the new way. I love what Curt Cignetti is doing in Indiana right now. I mean, how can you not? Curt Cignetti's a throwback ball coach, and it is so unique the way that he has architected that Indiana roster and just the hurt that they are putting on opponents week after week throughout the season. And we're talking about one of the greatest college football programs of all time. Or I should say one of the greatest college football teams of all time, excuse me, if they finish it off and beat Miami next Monday night. But how much does that translate elsewhere? How much can other programs replicate what Curt Cignetti is doing? Because I think, and there have been several really in-depth pieces of journalism that have focused on his process recently, and a lot of it, I think, just comes down to the fact that Curt Cignetti is a lot better of an evaluator of talent than many of his peers across the sport, and that has helped. That's not the only reason why Indiana has gotten to where they've gotten, but it's certainly helped.
And that's what Bill Snyder was.
Yes.
When you're talking about elevating JUCO players and having success with them, that's talent evaluation.
Yes.
Right there.
But this is the big but here. You still have to have the resources in the modern day. And Indiana, right now, is giving Curt Cignetti whatever he needs, to the tune of paying both his coordinators in the neighborhood of $3 million to make sure you maintain that continuity moving forward. Would Bill Snyder have had the same success in 2026? Maybe, but probably not at a program like Kansas State, because they are far more limited in terms of what they can offer in the resources and finances department. Okay, we are up against our first break. You're on Locked In. Really good discussion. Enjoy you folks chiming in, of course. Please continue to do so on the text line at 405-651-3439. Much more ahead here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it expanding your balance. Spend it expanding your mind. Spend it wondering what comes next. Spend it trusting that God has a plan. Spend it taking small steps in your own life. Spend it making a big impact on someone else's. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
Are you ready for winter in Oklahoma? Hi, this is Reese with Cavens Group. With temperatures getting cold at night, the chances are higher that you could be faced with pipes bursting, and that can lead to water loss and damage to your home or business. Cavens is family-owned, fully equipped, and always ready. Call Cavens Group at 316-221-9632 or visit cavensgroup.com. We are ready 24 hours a day to help. Cavens Group. You don't need us until you need us.
Entrepreneurs and More Norman in South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. More Norman Technology Center's Workforce and Economic Development team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, More Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about More Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu.
Wonderhouse Design can transform everyday spaces into works of art with new drapery, wallpaper, upholstery, trims, and hardware. Want custom draperies? They do Romans, blinds, shutters, and outdoor automated screens to elevate your space with style. When it's time to refresh furniture, their upholstery experts can bring new life with performance fabrics built for the way you work, play, and live. Visit Wonderhouse Design at 1228 North Interstate Drive in the Robinson Crossing Center or call them today, 405-831-5908.
Landmark Fine Homes is a custom home builder in Oklahoma City. Our commitment is to build energy-efficient, custom-quality crafted homes around the metro OKC area. If you are looking to build your first home or last, Landmark Fine Homes is the builder for you. We have many floor plans to choose from, or bring us one that you already have. We have communities throughout the metro, or we will build on your lot. Call 405-347-5991 and let Landmark Fine Homes help turn your dreams into a reality.
No matter where you live, you care about one thing during bad weather: keeping your family and property safe. Scissortail Roofing and Construction is here to ensure just that. Whether it's damage from strong winds or a hailstorm, we will manage your residential or commercial project from start to finish. Call us today, 405-928-8089, or visit us online at scissortailroofing.com for a free estimate. Call Scissortail today, your trusted local roofing and construction company.
In Iraq, our truck hit a roadside bomb. I had about 16 surgeries on my hand so that I could regain function. And when I came home, I needed a new roof due to a storm. And I was about to lose homeowners insurance as well. I applied for Operation Homefront Critical Financial Assistance Program. And it's good to know that when we come home, there are people who are there that care about us. Operation Homefront, they've really been a blessing.
Visit operationhomefront.org to learn more.
After a car crash, life can be hard. You're hurt, stressed, and then, when you need help the most, the insurance company doesn't care.
They drag their feet, question your injuries, and make things difficult. They put profits over people.
At McIntyre Law, we level the playing field. We take on the billion-dollar insurance companies so you can focus on what matters, getting your life back. Call us at 405-777-7000. You deserve better.
I'm going to be real with y'all. I have no idea how to pronounce the last name of Oklahoma's latest portal pickup, because I have now heard 3 different versions of the pronunciation from people that I would consider credible, and none of them are in agreement. Oklahoma's latest portal pickup yesterday is a wide receiver from Washington State by the name of Mackenzie Elaine, or Aileen, or Eileen. I genuinely don't know what it is, because Steely went to YouTube to find the play-by-play announcer's pronunciation, and it was Elaine. I touched base with a source at the University of Oklahoma who said it was Eileen, which really doesn't make any sense when you look at the way it's spelled.
No.
I touched base with a source that has connections at Elaine, or at the kid's high school out in California. And he touched base in turn with the coaching staff at Tustin High, and they said it's Aileen. So, 3 different parties that should know how to pronounce the kid's last name. And there is no consensus whatsoever. So, I'm going to go with Mackenzie Elaine because that seems to make the most sense to me. I'm going to go with Mackenzie Elaine until I know better. Until we know definitively from Mike Houck and the OU.com staff how you pronounce that last name. But this is a kid, Grayson, that comes to OU with 3 years of eligibility left, was banged up, was injured for much of the 2025 campaign, but got the chance to play for Wazoo in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Had a nice game, had his first career collegiate touchdown. He's a guy that Oklahoma could get on the cheap. He's a guy that adds depth to that room. And I'm sure what the OU staff is figuring is, hey, here's a guy, Chris Collinsworth,
well done,
that has familiarity with John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle and has some talent that we can polish and refine and develop. And Does he make an impact in 2026? I would consider the odds to be very minimal. But, hey, down the road, maybe this guy gives us a little something.
Can I ask a very fundamental question?
Sure, why not?
Has anybody ever asked the kid how to pronounce his name?
That's the thing. He's not active on social media like at all.
Okay.
And so nobody can really get in touch with him directly.
Again, though.
Yeah, we're going to have to get it from the horse's mouth at some point. That's going to be the only way we settle this.
But if you asked his high school coach, who I'm assuming talked to him.
They said Aileen.
I would feel like I would go with the one that I'm sure talked to him. I don't know. Anyway, what's interesting to me about wide receiver now is, what is this, wide receiver number, 13 on the roster?
I believe you're correct. Yes, 13.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I just shot from the hip on that one. How many wide receivers do they plan to roster? Like, are we done here, or are we going to run back what we did last year with 14 wide receivers? Because I'm not going to lie, having 13, 14 scholarship wide receivers seems a bit excessive to me.
Well, OU was hunting for a 14th over the last few days. They made a run at Julius Wilson from Owasso.
Yeah, they did.
Wound up losing him to K-State.
Were you surprised? Because I like Julius Wilson as a prospect. I've seen him in person a few times.
To me, like that was a very good eval by Jim Nagy and the OU front office, because that is the type of dude that could hit big 2-3 years down the road. Still relatively new to the sport of football. He's a converted hooper.
Yep.
But him and Xavier Okafaleze, man, two of the freakiest athletic specimens in the entire state of Oklahoma. And so, if you can get those guys in the building and get them developed by Emmett Jones, in all likelihood, they are not touching the field in 2026. They probably face long odds to touch the field in 2027, but by the time they're redshirt sophomores, redshirt juniors, might have a couple of monsters on your hands. But it was not to be for OU and Julius Wilson. Kansas State was able to get it done. They hosted him on an official visit last week. He basically went straight from K-State to his official visit at OU, decided he liked the opportunity, decided he liked everything that was offered to him by Kansas State more than he liked what OU was putting in front of him. And so he committed to the Wildcats yesterday. So that alone tells you, Grayson, they're not completely done, at least not in an ideal world. They would like to add a 14th scholarship receiver. Who that might be at this point, I don't know. There are some decent ones out there on the market that are still unsigned in the 26 cycle.
Well, let me ask you this. Whatever happened with their pursuit of Davion Dozier?
That just kind of died out.
Fair.
There was, what would you categorize this as? There were some creative differences with regard to how much money Dozier was actually worth between Oklahoma and the Dozier camp.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, fair. Happens.
Enter Mackenzie Aileen. Mackenzie A.
We can do the same song and dance we did with Parker Livingston.
In what sense?
Waffling back and forth with how to pronounce his name.
Oh, there's no waffling there. We know how to pronounce his last name. And there are plenty of there are plenty of videos of his on social media where he himself is saying his own name. If I can find a video of Mackenzie Aileen saying his own name, that will settle everything. We will be content. Unfortunately, there is no such thing that exists right now, to my knowledge.
Mark on the YouTube chat says Emmett Jones needs a lot of portal wide receivers because he can't recruit them. Well, he can recruit.
Hey, he got Jaden Petit, and he got Jasir Rogers, and he got Daniel Odom, and he got Xavier Okafaleze, which, by the way, I got to see Jaden Petit in person for the first time last weekend at the All-American Bowl. Holy smokes. Now, he didn't play.
Right.
He didn't play. He didn't practice. He was basically coming straight up to Oklahoma from the AAB to enroll, and obviously those guys are going to go through winter testing in the next few weeks, and he starts classes next Monday.
Oh.
But that kid is a specimen and a half. He's standing there on the sideline next to an offensive tackle. And the difference in size and sheer mass there is not substantial at all. Like, he's He's obviously tall. He's a legit 6'4", but he's got broad shoulders. He's muscled up. He's just a mountain of a wide receiver, man. What are you laughing at?
Will on the YouTube chat says, Parker, can you hit the weights?
Can I hit the weights?
Yeah. That's what Will on the YouTube chat said. I'm just the messenger here.
Dang, Will.
We do have a super chat, though.
Okay, what do we got?
David says, will there ever be a salary cap preventing teams like Texas can't develop but just, I guess, paying for already developed players? Basically, will there be a salary cap preventing Texas from doing Texas things?
A salary cap does not exist. There's the soft $20.5 million cap. Like, there are so many ways to circumvent that, and there will be schools that circumvent that. Oklahoma will be one of the schools that circumvents that. There's going to need to be government regulation before we can officially regulate the money that schools are spending on talent. Bob from Cement says, I know a few roid dealers. Hey, I'm staying off the roids. Bob from Cement.
Hey, y'all, Parker does lift weights.
I do. Apparently not enough for our boy Will. Grayson's a little bit more muscled up than I am. That's okay. I'm content with my physique, Will. War Sooner says, Petite can play cheetah with his size. Yeah, no, you want that kid a wide receiver. If you've seen the tape, you'll want that kid a wide receiver.
But he is huge.
He is. You know who else was really, really impressive this weekend? Was Taven Epps, who committed to Oklahoma in a little twofer on Saturday afternoon. Everybody kind of knew it was coming. It wasn't a particular secret that 4-star linebacker Taven Epps and 3-star defensive tackle Devin Robertson were both going to be committing to Oklahoma at the All-American Bowl. But they locked in their pledges on Saturday in San Antonio. And Devin Robertson, I mean, when you're a defensive tackle in a game like that, your contributions in general are going to be pretty nondescript, and such was the case for Devin Robertson. He held his own in the trenches. But when you play linebacker, you get more of an opportunity to flash a little bit, both on defense and special teams. And Taven Epps flashed, man.
What's his best attribute, according to what you saw?
I think, and like this is not a super nuanced, not a super unexpected answer, but it's just how well he moves at that size.
Okay.
6'4" in the 220-pound neighborhood. Like, he's a big, big linebacker. And it's easy to see a world 2-3 years down the road in which he is contending for all-conference distinction in Brent Venables' defense. Because he just, best way I can put it is he just gets it. You know? You watch some linebackers out there on the field, and they just get it. You have your see-ball, get-ball linebackers, and then you have your highly instinctual backers that just kind of know when and how to attack and flow to the football. Owen Heineke is a great example of this.
Yes.
You watch Owen Heineke out there, he's processing on a different level.
Yeah.
And that's what helped elevate him to, well, did he ever start for Oklahoma this past year? Would you call it starting status? But we all know how crucial Owen Heineke was to Oklahoma's defensive equation. And Taven Epps, similarly, is just a guy that gets it. Real good at diagnosing, real good at just knowing how to attack there from the position. And he's somebody that plays with that kind of controlled aggression that you have to have in order to play linebacker at the highest of levels. I think that dude's a future NFL linebacker.
I think so, too. It's similar to Kip Lewis. I think it's the best of, when you talk about the controlled aggression, it's the best of Kip Lewis and the processing, which is the best of Owen Heineke. Like, I do think this is going to be, he could potentially be a second-round pick in the NFL draft. A couple of questions, both on YouTube and on the text line, about Zane Rowe. I know we've talked about this being a slow burn. This is going to be something that drags on and on and on, but anything new with Zane Rowe?
I think Oklahoma's in a good spot there, and things are progressing faster than I would have expected. I always thought Zane Rowe was going to take it to OVs before he made a decision. As it stands, wouldn't be shocked if we saw a decision before the end of the month. I think we certainly get a decision before the end of the month of February. That's coming to an end pretty soon. And Oklahoma looks like they're well positioned to reel him back into the fold, which would be huge, man. And I know there were plenty that acted cynical towards that whole recruitment after he decommitted the first time around. Well, screw him. He doesn't want to be a Sooner. He can go do his thing. He can be a Sand Egg, whatever. But Oklahoma stayed the course, and make no mistake, just because Zane Rowe decommitted never at all meant that he lost the love for anything that was happening at Oklahoma. He just felt that he made that decision too soon. He made that decision with finality too soon. And within a couple of weeks of him decommitting, he was back on campus at Oklahoma, took several unofficial visits last spring and summer. And I don't know that Oklahoma has ever lost the lead there. I think there have been times where other schools have pulled even and joined OU at the Peloton in the Zane Rowe recruitment. But I don't think there has ever been a time throughout that whole process where another school has truly jumped past the Sooners. He's always been high on Oklahoma. That never changed. And if the Sooners get his commitment the second time around, yet another really exciting piece in what is a burgeoning 2027 class for this program. 13 commits right now with the addition of Epps and Robertson over the weekend. 13 commits. At this rate, Grayson, the Sooners might have, 4, 5 scholarship spots left to fill by the time OV season rolls around. Like, there's a lot of their work that's going to be done before the month of June hits.
I was about to say, OV season is going to be very undramatic for us.
Highly undramatic. I love it. I'm not mad about it.
Oh, no, you shouldn't be.
Might make it a little bit harder to get through this hour every day during the summer if we don't have lingering will he, won't he storylines to discuss like we did with Davian Gross, and gosh, who else was there this past summer that felt like we were talking about every single day?
KJ Ford for a little bit.
Bo Bentley for quite a while as well.
We had the Jaden O'Neal fiasco that happened.
405-651-3439 is the text line if you want to chime in. One final segment to come here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll be right back with more ahead.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is The Ref, home of Sooner fans.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Hey sports fans, you cheer on your kids on the field, now give them a chance to shine on stage. At the studio of the Sooner Theater, our school year performing art classes are open for ages 3 to adult. From musical theater to acting, jazz, tap, ballet, and hip-hop, and full-scale productions where your star can perform in the spotlight. Don't sit on the sidelines. Enroll now. Visit SoonerTheater.org or call 405-321-9600. The Sooner Theater, where every season is game day for the arts.
I'm Gina Mitchell of Mitchell's Jewelry. As Oklahoma's largest diamond importer, it's our goal to choose the best and the biggest diamond for your budget. That's why we hand select our diamonds in the diamond rooms of Antwerp. If you are getting engaged, we can create the ring of her dreams. Celebrating an anniversary or birthday, we have diamonds in all shapes and sizes for rings or necklaces, plus perfectly matched pairs for earrings. Come see us today and let us create something special. Mitchell's Jewelry, 2201 West Main in Norman.
Good times are calling your way at the Showplace Theater with acts like Eli Young Band, February 6th. Matt Matthews, February 14th.
I was pretending to smoke a cigarette with a Cheeto, and I would share it with my friends.
Dylan Gossett, February 20th. And Christopher Cross, February 28th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
Hey, it's Teddy Lehman here. Catch myself and Tyler McComas here on The Ref every weekday afternoon from 3 to 6 on The Rush. No one covers Sooner football like we do, and there's no better way to make sure you never miss a show than by listening in on the KREF app. We might even mention where you're listening from on the Ref Army Locator. If you don't have the app, you can take the home of Sooner fans anywhere you may roam on an iPhone or Android. Just search KREF in your app store to download the app and take the Ref with you everywhere.
Hey, it's Dari Noka for Totally Tickets. Hey, Ref Army, you looking for the best place to buy tickets to your next OU game, Thunder game, or the best concerts? My friend Mike, call him Fletch, and Totally Tickets has you covered. Visit TotallyTickets.com to find your event today. Oh, and good news, Ref Army, just type in the promo code KREF and get up to 10% off your purchase. Go to TotallyTickets.com now. They are the best. What's your next dream? Paying off your credit card, remodeling your kitchen, exploring the rainforests of Costa Rica. Whatever your dreams, they take some planning, and State Farm agent Scott Tavares is right here in Moore to lend a hand. As your local good neighbor, he can help you look at the things you want to save for. Come up with a plan to make those savings goals happen. Because your money should work just as hard as you do to achieve your dreams. So whether it's being free of debt or free to roam the world, call State Farm agent Scott Tavares, 405-794-0020. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton with you back for one final segment here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. If you're joining us on YouTube, which we have had many tune in via YouTube ever since Portal Combat started last week, thanks for tapping in. Subscribe to the KREF Sports YouTube channel while you're here. You'll never miss a show. On the text line, 405-651-3439, the Waffler says, I think it's funny how you guys are acting like all these 27 recruits are signing. Doesn't mean they're coming to Oklahoma, which you both know. Yes, that is true, Waffler. And I understand that in the current day and age of college football, there are some that have become disenfranchised with recruiting, and their rationale is, well, the majority of these guys aren't going to graduate from OU anyway. They're going to wind up transferring, so why would I care? Or, well, some of these guys will get bagged by other schools anyway or decommit and go somewhere else, so why would I care until signing day? I would refer you to the reality that over the last 3 cycles, Grayson, and I verified this in the break, I went back through and I checked on all of the decommitments that Oklahoma has had over the last 3 recruiting cycles, 24, 25, and 26. There have only been 3 players that have decommitted from Oklahoma over those 3 cycles that were not encouraged to go elsewhere. Oklahoma does this from time to time. If their evaluation of a player changes or the numbers just aren't right or whatever, they may tell a Marcus Harris, hey, go find another school. Or they may tell a T. Ron Richardson, hey, go find another school. There have been 3 decommitments, and only 3 over the last 3 cycles in total that came from players Oklahoma really did not want to lose. Those 3 players were Cortez Mills, the wide receiver who wound up signing with Nebraska, Floyd Bucard, defensive tackle who wound up signing with USC, and Jonathan Hatton, whom they reeled back in anyway after he committed to Texas A&M upon departing the OU class. So 3 decommitments that Oklahoma genuinely did not want to see occur, one of which came full circle for the Sooners anyway. So the reason we tend to talk about many of these commitments as if they are sure things, which nothing is ever a sure thing these days, but you get the picture. The reason we tend to talk about Oklahoma's class and the prospects that they have committed as if they are going to sign in Oklahoma, or with Oklahoma, I should say, come December, is because this staff has done a tremendous job retaining their pledges year over year. It would be a different conversation, I should say, if we were covering USC recruiting, for instance. And you could pretty well count on a handful, maybe close to a dozen decommitments every single year. But that's not the norm at Oklahoma. The norm throughout the Venables era has been that, with an exception here, an exception there, Oklahoma signs all of the guys that they get committed at any point, unless they themselves decide, hey, for whatever reason, we're not going to take your commitment. You should go find somewhere else. Glenn from Nashville in the text line says, Parker, you probably mentioned this and I just didn't hear or pay attention, but which of our guys that signed in November will be starting school at OU next Monday? All but 3, Glenn, and I want to say those 3 are Xavier Okafaleze, Tank Carrington, and for the life of me, I can't remember the third. But 21 of the 24 for Oklahoma are going to be on campus and enrolled this month. So it's more of a question of who isn't enrolling early. And like I said, I believe it's Okafaleze, Carrington, third one escapes me. But almost the entirety of Oklahoma's 2026 signing class is going to enroll early.
There you go. That's what's up. Dale from Grapevine says, what's your grade on Nagy so far this portal season? I say solid A. What do you think?
They've filled needs. And that's kind of exactly what we were talking about going in, Grayson, is can you fill the needs that exist on this roster right now? There are a few needs that haven't entirely been filled. I would like to see Oklahoma add one more portal offensive lineman.
Yep.
Feel like they need another body there. I expect that on tomorrow's show we will be talking about the addition of a defensive tackle transfer.
Okay.
So, we haven't seen Oklahoma land a portal defensive tackle yet. I do believe that is going to change and change very shortly. But with the 12 guys that they've brought in so far, man, they've addressed the needs that existed on this roster. They needed running back depth. They got Lloyd Avant. They needed a couple of playmaking wide receivers. They got Trell Harris, and they got Parker Livingston. They needed to reload in the tight end room. They may not be done there. I don't think they're done there. But they've already landed Hayden Hansen and Rocky Beers. We've seen them pick up 3 offensive linemen in Amarian Harris, Caleb Nitta, and Peyton Joseph. Kenny Ozawalu is a bit of a project on the defensive line, but you understand what the excitement there is about. And they added a cornerback for the sake of depth, a young cornerback that you might get something out of eventually in Dakota Fields. So I like the way it's come together for the Sooners. And not to should I neglect to mention him, let's not forget that maybe the most impactful defensive portal addition is an absolute stud of a linebacker in Cole Sullivan that is going to play a ton for Oklahoma next season.
Yeah, no, I would give it an A- just because I think you need more on the offensive line, and because given Oklahoma's history, I'm not going to bump you up to an A until I see that. But that was the genesis of my John Mateer take on Friday, was that Jim Nagy has done work in the portal. And not only did he address the needs, I think the wide receiver room got better. I think it's better this year than it was a season ago. Tight end is better than it was a season ago. And then landing Cole Sullivan is just, I think, outstanding for the defensive room. That's why I felt the way I felt about John Mateer. So Jim Nagy has done an excellent job in this portal cycle.
Fun question on the text line from War Sooner. Trivia question. Asking Grayson because Parker probably knows. Who was the first high school commit at quarterback in the BV era?
Ooh.
Do you know this one? First high school quarterback commit in the BV era.
In the BV area.
I'll give you a hint. It happened within 2 weeks of BV taking the job and officially being introduced as head football coach.
Was it Nick Evers?
It was Nick Evers. Well done.
Let's go, man.
Look at that.
Come
War
on.
Sooner, you tried to stump him, and he defeated you. Jason from Miami wants to know, what about Ty Haywood from Michigan? Any shot, too much money? My expectation is that that's going to be significantly more expensive of an acquisition on the offensive line than Oklahoma is looking to make and can make at this point. Also, a guy like Ty Haywood is going to come in with the expectation of being a starter. And
yes,
he's probably not going to start next year in Oklahoma, even if he were to commit to the Sooners, which I consider unlikely.
Michael asks, currently who backs up Peyton Bowen?
Currently, that would be Amarian Robinson. It would be Peyton Bowen and Michael Boganowski are going to be your starting safeties. Their primary backups are going to be Amarian Robinson and, heck, might it be Markelle Ford at that free safety spot?
Could be a player.
Because you're going to have Reggie Powers in the mix back there, but I think you're going to primarily want to use Reggie Powers at that cheetah position, as we've discussed. So there's a window here for Markelle Ford. Man, if he shows up and he's ready to go, and he was a fun watch in high school, man, Sooner fans are going to like that kid. There's a window for him to carve out a very significant role as a true freshman. In fact, if we're just talking sheer opportunity, how the depth chart stacks up in front of a given true freshman, there might not be a guy that has an easier path to a role as a true freshman than Markelle Ford.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And if he was to get on the field, he'd be worthy of it too, because he's that type of player. The Waffler asks, interesting question, serious question for both of you. What if Mendoza went to Miami and Beck to Indiana? Do you think they both still get here?
No. I think that was a win-win for both parties.
Yeah.
Miami opted not to pursue Fernando Mendoza and get Carson Beck instead. Those programs are going to play each other for the national title next Monday. It worked out on both accounts.
They both landed at programs where they fit it.
Does Carson Beck fit at Indiana?
No,
he does not. Does Fernando Mendoza fit at Miami?
Hell no.
That worked out the way that it needed to for both of those guys.
Explain, because sometimes I'm still learning. Explain the Sooner Nation hate for Miami.
You should ask Tyler McComas about this when he comes into the studio here in a bit. Tyler McComas very famously despises Miami.
Right, I know.
I think it has its roots in the 80s, which obviously you and I were not around for.
Uh-huh.
But I think that's where the hatred for Miami was born. There was a lot of Miami hate in the 80s, as I understand it. That was kind of the Alabama of the day, not in the sense that they were doing what Alabama was doing during the Nick Saban era, but more just like everybody hated them.
Interesting.
Howard Schnellenberger.
Yeah.
Howard Schnellenberger in the state of Miami.
Yeah, everybody's saying the 80s. So
yeah, there you go.
Okay, there you go.
Wrapping up here, Kyle from Salisaw asks, what the hell was up with the PJ transfer thing? Well, Kyle from Salisaw, just to assuage any lingering concerns, he is not transferring. PJ, barring a major swing between now and the closure of the portal window on Friday evening, is going to remain with Oklahoma. Best I can discuss it on this particular platform is that there were other schools that were very actively working the back channels to try and lure PJ away from Oklahoma. Fortunately, despite the fact that there were parties in PJ's ear encouraging him to depart and seek more lucrative opportunities elsewhere, he's a loyal kid. His parents are very loyal folks as well. And he's not going anywhere, at least not anymore. There was a time in the last few days where folks in that building were worried about where things were headed with PJ Adebawore. Which, by the way, on the Mackenzie, Aileen front, that's another one that no one has ever been able to figure out, because if you listen to PJ's older brother, who plays for the Indianapolis Colts, pronounce their last name.
Oh, that's PJ's brother?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tommy?
Yeah.
Adetamiwa Adebawore.
Okay,
that
makes sense.
He says it Adebawore. So that's always how I pronounced it. And then he got to Oklahoma, and you looked at the pronunciation guide, and you listen to PJ himself say it that first fall when he was at Oklahoma. And apparently he says it Adebawore. But there are videos on Al Gore's internet of Tommy being asked to pronounce their last name, and he goes, Adebawore. So I have no idea. I go with what Mike Houck tells me. The folks in the OU Athletic Communications office. It's Adebawore as far as we are concerned for PJ.
Kendall Dolby committed to Mississippi State.
Oh, how about that? Little bombshell before we get off the air.
Not a bad landing spot.
Not a bad landing spot at all. I mean, he'll play there.
Yeah.
They're not a good defensive program. He will. I would think he's kind of going to get the chance to do whatever he wants. I'm going to be very interested to see what Jeff Lebby can do with Zion Reagans. Because that is the most Jeff Lebby wide receiver in the history of Jeff Lebby wide receivers.
Yep.
And I don't think anyone would have imagined that Brennan Thompson would be cracking the 1,000-yard barrier in Starkville in 2025. But there he was, cracking the 1,000-yard barrier in Starkville in 2025. So did Zion Reagans do much of anything at Oklahoma? No, but fit matters. And boy, he fits in Jeff Lebby's offense. We'll see what the Dogs can do with Reagans on board. All right, folks, we're done. We'll do it all again tomorrow, same time, same place. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. Stick around here on the Ref. Tyler and Ted have the rush on the other side. This is the home of Sooner fans.